What's up, and welcome to Fantasy Football Today, presented by BetMGM. Make it legendary. Not the word I would use to describe Week 8. No. One game it was one possession. One game. Oh, I mean, what a horrible week of football this was. The Jets game, the only game so far. Jets 39, Bengals 38. Woo! QB1 is
Jalen Hurts.
RB1 is
got to be
Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, either him or Breece.
It was Taylor. Wide receiver 1 is
Pittman.
He's got 2 first names.
Amon-Ra St. Brown. He didn't.
I know it is. Troy Franklin.
Troy Franklin.
Oh, man.
Tight end 1 is.
Does he also have 2 first names?
No. Who would that be? Mason Taylor.
Is it,
now.
wait, are you
Gadsden.
asking? It was Fannin from today, right?
Yeah, it's Fannin from today. He's tied with Gadsden. They're like within decimal points. All right. How we doing, guys?
I faced Tyjae Spears in 4 leagues.
Yeah, we're going to win one of them. So
somebody started Tyjae Spears against me 4 different times on purpose.
That's great. Yeah. Well, let's get to the biggest winners and losers. Before we do that, we talked to you about almost touchdowns. How about almost history? Jonathan Taylor was, they were talking about it on the broadcast. He was briefly considered the first player in NFL history to have 3 rushing touchdowns in 3 straight games against the same team, but his 3rd touchdown was actually a catch. So not quite.
I'm challenging that because Thomas had Daniel Jones against me in FFT, and he's going to beat me. And I think it was I'm going to be really trying to find the right angle to send that one in.
He's on pace for 30 touchdowns, not Thomas, but Jonathan Taylor is on pace for 30 touchdowns this year. Dave, who's the biggest winner this week?
Of everybody in fantasy or what? From the week that
politically.
Everyone. Well, listen, man, Breece Hall has been campaigning to maybe get out of New York, and maybe he just did enough to pique the interest of the other 31 teams in this league by having this monster game against the Bengals. He proved that he could run. He proved that he could throw. He had 34.9 PPR points in the game after having 13 and change PPR points over the prior 2 games. Not that people were really nervous about starting Breece Hall, especially this week. So many teams on bye, so many fantasy players unavailable, that Breece Hall was basically a must start, and it was against Cincinnati. It just goes to show you that you want to start players against the Bengals almost no matter what position, because they can go off, and Breece Hall is an example of that. Was this his last game with the Jets?
Well, they're going into their bye, so not a bad time to make a trade, I guess.
I thought his teammate was the biggest winner. Justin Fields, they were ready to bench, and Rachaad Taylor has a knee injury, so Fields gets to play, plays another good game, leads them to a victory, probably saved his job for a couple more weeks.
There you go.
It's so funny how the owner calls him out, and it looks at the week started, it seemed like Rachaad Taylor was going to be the starter.
Right.
And then just Fields gets his chance. And again, like the matchup was so favorable. We talked about this on this show 2 weeks ago when I ranted on Justin Fields. And Heath, you were the one that said, well, look at who he plays in the next 2 weeks. And I said, one of his games is going to be a dud and one of his games is going to be awesome. This was a pretty good game for Justin Fields. Or if you started him, I think you're happy with the result.
I think maybe more importantly than the fantasy points, like the 22 fantasy points is weird in a couple of ways, because if you have 275 combined pass and rush touchdown or rush yards, you'd think you'd have 2 touchdowns, and he didn't. But he had 2 2-point conversions to kind of make up for that. But I thought just like, and it's part of it is definitely the matchup, but he played on time more often and played good football. And honestly, like he's had 3 of the worst games of the season, and he's had 4 very good fantasy games. Maybe 2 or 3 of those were good actual games. I just don't think after seeing that and then going into a bye week, they can go to Rachaad Taylor.
That might be fine and good. Were you done? I'm sorry.
I know. I'm just saying I want to get to the biggest loser, but I mean, Justin Fields is going to come out of his bye and face Cleveland, New England, Baltimore, Atlanta.
Right.
He's probably going to lose his job at one point in this game.
Yep. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough sledding. the schedule's brutal for the Jets. It makes you wonder how we feel about Garrett Wilson. We'll talk about that later on in the week. Heath, who's the biggest loser this week?
There were a lot of losers. I felt like a loser for watching 75% of the games that were played. I guess Rico Dowdle, although I would say Dave Canales, because why don't you just play your best running back? But really took a backseat to Chuba Hubbard in terms of touches, especially late in this game, and was wildly efficient as he has been for the last month. And it just did not seem, I spent so long on Twitter searching because honestly, this of all the terrible games, this might have been the worst one. And so I didn't watch a lot of this one. And I was like, okay, Rico Dowdle had to have gotten hurt or something. How is he averaging 6.8 yards per carry? And he has 8 rush attempts. And Chuba Hubbard has 12 for 34. This not even a target for Rico Dowdle. It's maddening.
It is. And, look, maybe it's enough to maybe they'll make a change. But right now, if they don't, it's a problem. They're basically alternating series. Right? It was just, I think Chuba was in on that series when it was his turn and he got the touchdown.
I think by the time we got into the second half, it was a lot more of Chuba.
Yep.
And Dowdle.
That's what
again, it was kind of closest overall because you're right. The way I did watch a lot of this game, and they did rotate to start, but Chuba played 59% of the snaps, Dowdle 34% of the snaps. I agree with you, Heath. Like you watch Chuba Hubbard run, he's dancing in the backfield. He's just not as explosive. Dowdle has speed on his side. He played with power. He had a bunch of great runs. I don't understand it.
Okay. And neither does Greg Olsen. Greg Olsen said it on the broadcast at the end of the first half. He was like, Dowdle, I think he said Dowdle has a little more juice and needs to get the ball more. But I honestly, if you have a chance, you could look into it. I looked at the play-by-play, and it really seemed like they switched possessions. Maybe Chuba's were just longer. Then there was one play where Chuba was in. I think they turned it over immediately, and then Chuba stayed in for the next possession. But I don't know if it really matters. The situation's not great there. But it is a great time for football at BetMGM. And if you register with BetMGM, you're going to get instant access to the best variety of parlay selection features, no sweat and boost tokens, live betting options, and much more. New players can receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets with the bonus code FANTASY. All right, use the bonus code FANTASY when you sign up. If you don't win your first bet, you're going to get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets. So you don't want to miss out on any of the hard-hitting action at BetMGM. Place your money line, parlay bets, and more today. BetMGM, make it legendary. Let's do a little buy or sell, mostly from the late games. Buy or sell, Chimere Dike, 14% rostered, 93 yards today. Buy or sell, Chimere Dike is the best Titans wide receiver rest of season.
I'll buy it. It's nice to see a coaching staff recognize that one player looks good and they give him more opportunities. And that's exactly what happened last week. DK, I thought, looked better than Io Manor. We talked about it during the week. We really kind of shied away from going after DK unless it was in the deepest of leagues, but I don't know if we're going to do that anymore. 8 targets, 7 catches, 93 yards. It was a good game for DK. He does seem to have a little bit more juice than Io Manor. It's still the Titans. It ain't pretty, but as bye week receivers go moving forward, DK could fill in.
Okay. It's either him or Ridley, right?
I was going to say, Ridley's season isn't over, right?
No. DK,
do we know when he's coming back?
He's like 78% in the slot. So it's not like Ridley's going to take him off the field, but could definitely take targets away. Right. All right. Buy or sell. A quarterback change would be good for Chris Olave.
I don't know if I buy it.
Because there were only 3 games on, I did get to see a lot of this terrible game. And
oh, man.
I don't think you can really, I think it's a really big challenge because Kellen Moore came out after the game and said, I don't like going back and forth or getting 2 quarterbacks ready. So we're going to make a decision in the next 48 hours. I don't know how you evaluate Tyler Shuck because of the time of the game that he came in and the game situation. I don't have any idea which of these 2 guys is better.
All right. So it's kind of an undetermined one. For what it's worth, Shuck threw more to Rashid Shaheed. He gave him 8 targets, but last week Andy Dalton threw a bunch of targets to Xavier Legate and then barely threw to him today. So buy or sell. RJ Harvey is a thing now.
He's a thing.
What kind of thing?
A startable fantasy option.
No.
He played a little more than a quarter of the snaps for Denver. Scored a bunch of touchdowns against a bad Dallas defense.
He's a boom bust flex.
Yeah, I don't even know if he's. I think it depends on what running backs are available to you. I think you'll feel better starting him as a bye week replacement than you might, a bunch of other running backs that are only playing a quarter or a third of the snaps.
Like I think this week, let me look, because I think I had him like 25 or 26 this week.
Oh, nice.
And so I think when 27. So when everybody comes back and I guess we have 4 teams next week on bye.
Right.
So maybe he's 28, 29 next week. It was great, but his role didn't really change that much.
Right.
Yeah. That's RJ Harvey. All right. Buy or sell after 2 bad games in a row. Emeka Egbuka will not be a top 12 wide receiver rest of season.
So
I struggle with it because I loved him earlier in the year. He's gotten great targets over the last 2 weeks. There's no complaining about that, but he's not making catches that he should be making. There was a target in the end zone. He was covered tightly, but I would have expected him to come down with that one for a touchdown. And I wonder what's going on. I know, remember, before week 7, there was talk that you could miss multiple games, and now he's playing through an injury. It might be affecting him, and it could cost him the chance to be a top 12 receiver.
All right. Encouraged, I guess, by the targets, though. He has 21 targets in his last 2 games, but only 7 catches for 93 yards on those 21 targets. And believe it or buy or sell. Still doing buy or sell right now. Oronde Gadsden will be better than Dallas Goedert rest of season. Goedert with 2 more touchdowns on 3 targets today, but he's been double-digit PPR points in all but 1 game. Buy or sell, Gadsden will be better than Goedert rest of season.
That's a great question. I'll sell 2. As much as I love the guy, both are in unique situations for a tight end. Gadsden's got a crowded receiving core, even though that team will throw more, I think, than Philadelphia will. But Goedert's used more in the red zone than he has been in the past. We don't know how long A.J. Brown's going to be out for. It's a slight lean toward Goedert, but it's close.
Okay, wonderful. That'll conclude buy or sell, but tune in for buy or sell's cousin, believe it or not, a little bit later. And we'll be right back after this break on Fantasy Football Today.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you. When you need your sports in a snap, find it on CBS Sports HQ, streaming free anywhere you are.
All right, news and notes. We haven't talked about Cam Scatterby yet. Lamar Jackson expected to play next week at Miami on Thursday. Spencer Rattler was benched for Tyler Shough, and Bryce Young could be back next week. Those are going to be your quarterback news items. Running back, here we go. Cam Scatterby, dislocated ankle. He's going to be out for the season. That's, I haven't seen that, but that's what we know about the injury. It's going to be a long-term thing. Quinshon Judkins left with a shoulder injury in the third quarter. They are going into a bye. Haven't seen an update on Judkins, but he left with an injury, and Dylan Sampson got some catches and some work after that. Saquon Barkley limped off in the third quarter with a groin injury, but he seems fine. He should be good to go after the bye based on what he said, the way he looked. So wouldn't be too worried about that. Tank Bigsby came in and got the work after Barkley left. People have been asking who's the handcuff for Jonathan Taylor, and DJ Giddens was inactive today. So I don't know if you wanted to handcuff Abdullah.
Yeah.
All right.
But if you think he's going to score 3 touchdowns in a game like Taylor has 4 times this year, then they better be playing the Titans, but I don't think they will be.
That's it for that. So let's talk about this Scatterby injury. And Heath, what do you think it means? Tyrone Tracy is 51% rostered. Is he going to be the easy number 1 waiver wire ad?
I am not probably thinking of all the people we might add on waivers, but he is going to be a must add. He's going to be one of the top priorities. And if I'm not thinking of somebody, he's probably the top priority. Probably a low-end RB2. Probably going to live in that 22 to 26 area in the rankings when nobody's on a bye.
Okay.
It's about right. He had 77% of the snaps after Scadaboo left. Dominated third downs. Dominated inside the 10. Remember, the other running back there is Devin Singletary. So both are going to play each week, but I would imagine that Tracy will have a considerable advantage as long as he holds on to the ball. That's been an issue for him.
And it's that route participation that's great for the Giants running backs. For Scadaboo, Scadaboo had one of the highest route participation rates while Tracy was out, and it was still good when Tracy was back, just wasn't as good. But you saw Scadaboo had a touch of great move, great route, touchdown catch today, and that's going to help Tyrone Tracy. Wide receiver Jimmy Horn for Carolina. He left with a shoulder injury. Rashid Shaheed hobbled off at the last minute of the game, but he looked okay. Ran off, I should say. Giants tight end Daniel Bellinger left in the third quarter. I didn't see any major offensive line injuries. And defensively, Patrick Surtain, I think he played the first half and didn't play at all in the second half. He had a shoulder injury, not the shin injury he had earlier in the game. So Surtain left that game. They get Arizona, then a bye. Buffalo defensive end or defensive tackle Ed Oliver, he can't stay healthy. He came back. He left with a biceps injury. Giants were already down 2 defensive backs. They lost another, Cordell Flott, to a concussion. They get the Niners next week. Trey Hendrickson came into the game a little banged up, and then he left with a hip injury. That's the Bengals' best edge rusher. And Chicago lost a couple of players on their defensive line. They get the Bengals next week. That could be a nice high-scoring game. Dolphin safety Minka Fitzpatrick left with an injury. All right, early waiver wire. Any names come to mind other than Tyrone Tracy? I mean, with Chimere Dike, you're going to be... Oh, sorry.
No, DK.
Oh. Yeah, I think so. Anyone else? Troy Franklin coming off this huge game. Any interest?
Yeah, he's already rostered in 62% of leagues.
Okay.
We'll be adding him, but he's been kind of like the tight ends not named Oronde Gadsden this year. We've added him before.
Right.
Maybe we should ask Mr. Waiver Wire himself, Jamie Eisenberg. Let's do the early waiver wire FFT Express right now. Ready?
Sure.
All right, Jamie, who's the headliner for the early waiver wire?
I'll tell you tomorrow on FFT Express.
Well done.
We know it's Tyrone Tracy and Chimere Dike. What is Joe Flacco's roster percentage? Let's see that. He's too rostered. He's 84% rostered, so disregard.
Got Browns running backs.
Yeah.
Got Bam Knight still, I'm sure.
Yes, that is a good one. Jamie, he's Mr. Waiver Wire.
Just
Mr.
waiver wire in his blood.
All right, well, that was a great segment. Let's get to some winners. Jamie, your winners, Chase Brown, who had 15 touches in this game, but over 100 total yards, 2 touchdowns on my stinking bench, and Jaylen Waddle. Okay, Chase Brown, Jaylen Waddle, how you feeling about them? And by the way, Jamie didn't do the start of the week as his winner, but he could have because the start of the week was awesome again. Congratulations, Bo Nix, 32 fantasy wins. What do you want to say about Chase Brown and Jaylen Waddle?
Chase Brown, 2 good weeks in a row. Looking good with Joe Flacco as the offense is back on schedule. So, again, the player we were hoping to get because of the offense being great is, I would say, back. And so you got to feel pretty good about Chase Brown moving forward. Great matchup next week against Chicago. So back to being at least a number 2 running back. I don't know if he'll return the value that we drafted him to be, as a late 2nd round pick, maybe early 3rd round pick, but certainly got to feel great about what you've seen from him in the last 2 games. And then Jaylen Waddle, obviously, I thought he was going to be terrible this week, given the struggles for Tua, the matchup against the Falcons, and, hit a big play, but clearly gave you the fantasy production you've been, I don't know, coming to expect or hoping to expect from him since Tyreek Hill's injury. And again, another player you got to feel really good about. So I guess it just takes Tua having 1 good eye as opposed to 2 good eyes to connect with his top receiver. But, first game without Darren Waller, and it was a stellar performance for Jaylen Waddle in what was a tough matchup prior to this week.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested to go back and watch the coverage because I know his long touchdown catch was AJ Terrell was not defending Jaylen Waddle.
It was a great play tonight.
Yeah, but he's lined up on Terrell's side. It was weird. I don't know what that was all about. So Whatever it was, it's great for Jaylen Waddle. And if you started him, he was started in 77% of leagues. So kudos to you if you started him. And the thing on Chase Brown, does it bother you at all the role that Samaje Perine is playing?
I was going to bring this up.
Perine has he had 8 carries in this game on first or second down. He had 5 last week. Those were season highs each week. He's splitting. He's not 50-50 split, Jamie, but does it bother you at all?
It doesn't bother me while Chase Brown's playing like this and the offense is operating like this. It's obviously not the most ideal situation, but again, given what we went through from week 2 through week 6,
yeah,
I'm thrilled.
yeah.
Okay. It's been pretty close to 50-50. Browns had the edge, but today is an example. Competitive game, high-scoring game. Chase Brown played 53% of the snaps. It's 43% for Perine. Perine definitely dominates third downs and passing downs. That's not going to change. But the fact that Perine was able to have as many snaps inside the 10 as Brown had, that's a little nerve-wracking. The fact that he had as many carries as he did. I think game script it's crucial for every running back, but it's especially crucial for Chase Brown. If he goes into a game where we think Cincinnati's not going to be able to compete for whatever reason, you absolutely cannot start him. The worst part is that when he goes into a game like next week against Chicago, we're going to expect it to be a high-scoring game. We figure that Cincinnati will stay in it. If it goes sideways for Cincinnati, we're going right back to Chase Brown being maybe 10 PPR points. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm still going to rank Chase Brown like a quality number 2 running back. But just the game like today, I don't know how many of those there are left for Cincinnati.
All right. Heath, let's get to your winners now. They are Justin Fields, who we talked about, and Rome Odunze, only 68% started. Very surprising to me. 7 well, but even still, like Waddle was 77% started. I'm surprised that Odunze was only 68%. 7 catches, 114 yards on 10 targets at Baltimore after 2 straight games with 31 to 32 yards. Very good stuff here. And Bengals next week.
Can I give you
just before
Heath gives the analysis? Just I think what we're going to see on some of these guys, unfortunately, when they're coming off of bye weeks at this point in the season, some people are checked out.
You mean in fantasy?
Really? His bye week was 2 weeks ago.
No, I'm just saying it's probably. So what did you say it was?
68%.
I'm going to guess it probably should be 70 something.
I'm going to say it had more to do with how he played in the 2 games after his bye.
Adam can look up what his start percentage was last year. Probably. I don't know how to do that, but Adam does. I'm always trying to figure it out.
I can get it.
But no, I think like one of the things, it wasn't just me, it was Jacob too, I guess. But one of the things that really changed is his first read rate was obviously up early in this game. He was a priority that he had not been the last 2 weeks. And I saw some stuff about, it was a bad matchup for DJ Moore, and he ended up having a good game, although he probably should have gone out of bounds on that last catch.
Yeah, right.
But listen, bad game for Caleb Williams, but a good day for Rome Odunze.
Oh man, I got Odunze start. I got to double check this. I got his start percentage is 57% last week.
Well, that's
coming off one bad game. That's surprising to me, but okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. Did you want to say anything else about him? Just
nope.
Okay. Dave, your winners, Jaxson Dart, 21.4 fantasy points at Philadelphia, and Khalil Shakir. These 2 guys, by the way, were started in fewer than 50% of leagues. Dart and Shakir. Shakir he's so good after the catch. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And he had 88 yards and a touchdown on 7 targets at Carolina.
So with Shakir, it was his first game post-bye. He led Buffalo in targets. He took over the team lead in targets for the season, had the long touchdown. He's going to be a serviceable number 3 receiver at minimum. Not the easiest schedule left for Buffalo, but plenty of high-scoring games left for Buffalo. Back and forth shootouts. Like next week, they've got Kansas City. I don't think that's going to be a 14-10 game. Shakir as a short area target, a guy who can win underneath and make a play after the catch, that's going to be gold in Buffalo because they haven't had another receiver step up. Hasn't been Keon Coleman since week 2. There isn't another guy in there. Elijah Moore had like a nice sideline catch, but his foot was out of bounds. Shakir has just been the steady Eddie for Josh Allen, and I think it's going to continue to be that way. So have a little more confidence when considering Khalil Shakir moving forward. And I thought going in that this was Dart's toughest matchup left on the season. It was Philadelphia on the road. He had just seen them 2 weeks earlier. They were a healthier defense. They were a better defense. He lost Cam Scadaboo in the game, and he still found a way to get over 20 fantasy points. He didn't kill you like Dak did or Baker did. He didn't have a monster game either, but plenty of games left on the schedule where you can look at the matchup and say, all right, it's not going to be easy for Jaxson Dart, and you'll trust him anyway. The floor that he gives you with his rushing, we say this about every quarterback that runs. It makes it easier to go with that type of a player, and it's not going away. I think it's 4 or 5 games now where he's giving you at least 10 fantasy points with what he does on the ground. So
I think
keep it rolling with Jaxson Dart. He had just 7. I know he scored. I didn't know how many yards he had on the ground. I guess it wasn't that much.
Adam, I know
still good,
I know this is a painful watch for you, but I thought this was Jaxson Dart's worst game. He looked like there was and let's see what the numbers show in terms of time to throw, but he seemed much less decisive throwing.
It was the worst offensive line game, I think, it's for him since
that. I agree with.
In the starter, I was pretty surprised by that. They got whooped up front. They got whooped. By the way, I have some
Did you
faulty.
think it was a push off by Slayton?
No. I mean, in like the
he
letter
did it
of
twice. He did it twice.
But Quinn Mitchell was holding him. It was
the shoulders went up. The shoulders went up.
It was an awful call, and it wasn't even it was the third of 3 horrible calls that destroyed the Giants in that game. But obviously, they would have lost anyway. But I mean, Jalen Hurts clearly fumbled. I don't know what the hell that was. They ruled it dead, and it was before they whistle. And then there was a false start that they called an encroachment. It was just awful. I got some bad numbers there. My bad on Odzune. He was started in 93% of leagues. This week 91%. Last week 93%.
Okay.
People have not.
So no one's bailing on Odzune.
Had a typo there.
They started 91% this week.
Yeah.
Oh, makes sense.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. That's I don't know, typo. Okay, let's see. Dave's losers are. Oh, are we on losers yet? Yeah. Dave, yes, we got your winners. Now let's get your losers.
Well, we could start with Rachaad White, who was under 9 PPR points for the second straight game. He had some short yardage goal line carries, couldn't get in. Sean Tucker eventually did. Tucker had 1 fewer carry in the game. Going into this week, the 3 weeks prior, Tucker had 9 fewer carries, 11 fewer carries, and 11 fewer carries. And yet he still had good efficiency ahead of Rachaad White in each of those games, and he did it again this week as well. Rachaad White's still going to have a role in this offense. He's going to play on passing downs. He's a good pass protector. He's a good receiver, but he's clearly losing some share to Sean Tucker, and eventually Bucky Irving will be back. So it kind of feels like you missed any type of sell high window on Rachaad White, and you certainly have to have some questions about starting him moving forward.
And then you had 2 tight ends. I don't understand this. Of all the things that happened this week, I think the Dalton Schultz thing bothers me the most. Like Nico Collins plays the last 3 games, the last 4 games, and he gets 6 or more targets every game. Nico doesn't play this game. They throw the ball a ton, and Schultz gets 3 targets.
I don't think he was healthy.
He got shaken up in the game, but in the first
he got shaken up last week, and he was on injury report all week.
Oh,
so every time if you watch the Seattle game, he was on the sidelines on almost every non-obvious passing down situation. And it's either, I don't know if it was a shoulder or chest, something was bothering him in his upper body going into this week, coming off of last week. And it felt as if he wasn't playing very much in this game.
He played 45 of 75 snaps, to your credit. Still a lot of snaps. And I know he got shaken up again in this game and left, but I first of all, this was like one of a handful of bad calls I made this week, and I'm just sick about it. But the simple fact that Houston did find a way to maneuver their offense using the other receivers that they had, it was Xavier Hutchinson, it was Jalen Noel, Jaden Higgins got a touchdown. Like, that's an encouraging sign for Houston that they were able
to before he got hurt.
Yeah, Barrios, he was involved a little bit last week too, and then he had 5 targets and 5 catches before he got hurt. So just Houston did a good job of going after the secondary for San Francisco with their other wide receivers, and they didn't want to just have a check down guy. Otton had a touchdown taken away from him. He dove for the end zone at one point, and his knee was down. It was just short. So really close to having a good game, but 5 targets in the game. I kind of wanted to go with Baker as a loser. because he didn't a second bad game in a row. He didn't look good early on. Missed a couple of throws in the game. I'm wondering what's up with Baker Mayfield and how what has happened over the last 2 weeks. But I went with Otton instead. 8
He lost
PPR
his
points.
receivers.
Yeah, well, but he's still got Egbuka, but we know he's not 100%. We love Tez Johnson, and he had a couple of nice catches in the game, but he didn't have a ton of targets. Kind of just a weird game for Baker. I can't put my finger on it.
If Egbuka catches the one in the end zone, it was a tough catch, and then Otton gets this score. He's not great for Baker, but it's a different.
Yeah, right. He doesn't crush you. At least it's like passable.
Yeah.
Anyway, Cade Otton, not great.
Baker played very poorly last week. We all saw, it was a spotlight game. Watched every snap of it. He just missed a lot. Hard to keep up, but that was just hard to keep up with it. When there's all these games going on. That was just a weird game in New Orleans. I'm going to confess this now, even though I don't have to. I forgot to make a big upset pick this week. I had an upset on my mind. I was like, oh, yeah, I'm feeling this. And it was going to be New Orleans over Tampa Bay. But I never said it. So pretend that you never heard that.
Well, at least you're owning up to it.
Yeah. Heath, your losers are Rico Dowdle, who we talked about, and Kendrick Bourne, 62% rostered. He had 4 targets. Mac Jones threw for 193 yards, 32 pass attempts. Drop Kendrick Bourne?
He seems very droppable.
For DK?
What's that?
Chimere Dike?
I'd rather have DK, yes. 4th on the team in targets. The friendship with Mac Jones seems to be on really thin ice. And Juwan Jennings was the clear number 1 wide receiver. George Kittle's back. He's going to get more targets now. Christian McCaffrey's going to get more targets, of course. And I'm not sure with Mac Jones at QB that you want to start the guy who's 4th in targets. And I'm not sure he's going to be 4th in targets by the time Brock Purdy gets back.
Okay. And Jamie's losers are Wan'Dale Robinson and, Darnell Mooney. Me, oh my. I mean, this game, the thing I hated the most was the Dalton Schultz thing. The thing that cracked me up the most was Tyler Algier somehow scoring a touchdown.
Right.
Right? Go figure. Wan'Dale and Darnell Mooney. Darnell Mooney ended up being 66% rostered. Had a terrible game. The whole team stunk. But go ahead, Jamie.
Just one thing about Bourne and the 49ers passing game. They just played the Falcons when they actually looked good and the Texans in back-to-back weeks. And that's one of the more difficult 2-game stretches for passing games. They get the Giants next week if that secondary is still beat up. I don't think anybody's going to trust Kendrick Bourne, but just something to consider with maybe Mac Jones or Brock Purdy, whoever's starting there. What do you want to start with? Mooney? Mooney, obviously, I was very excited about this morning when we found out Drake London was out. And somebody called me out on Twitter, so I want to address it. And says I never own up to my missed calls, so I don't think that's the case. But Hefner Matt said Mooney over Pittman. Ha ha ha. Would just love for you to admit a mistake just once this season. Still salty over Woody 5 weeks ago. That was a bad call. I thought that Mooney would be better than Pittman. I thought that Mooney was going to have a good game because the Dolphins stink and he had a great opportunity and Kirk Cousins sucked and the Dolphins defense decided to show up and Mooney was not involved. So terrible call there by me. And Pittman was great. But look, this was a great opportunity and he did not perform well. So we'll see what happens with London's hip next week. We'll see what happens with the quarterback situation for Atlanta. Sounds like Penix will be back. And Mooney is, I don't want to say droppable, but he's certainly somebody you're not going to feel comfortable starting, even if London's out.
Okay.
And Wan'Dale, look, just bad game. I think, we had some questions about Slayton back. The last 2 games he had performed well without Slayton on the field. I can't imagine they're going to have a lot of success running the ball because Tracy's been so bad in his opportunities this season. And so chasing the score, targets will still be there for Wan'Dale. I still think he'll be a number 3 receiver. I think he was put in a spot this week by all of us because of what he had done the last 2 games and the 6 teams on a bye. And so you look at most weeks' normal rankings, he'll be a number 3 receiver.
He led the team in receiving, but they just had a bad game. They only threw 24 passes. They ran 50 plays. And the fact that Slayton had the most targets, 1 more target than Wan'Dale isn't great, but like little Jordan Humphrey had that game with, I think, 8 targets and Wan'Dale still was good. Just a bad game for the Giants overall. No kidding. Okay, let's take a break and we'll get to the rest of it. What you need to know. By the way, if you think you're getting heat from people, I tweeted about how bad the officiating was, and all the Eagles fans, including one in the chat today, go, quit crying, Adam. Go Birds. Guess what? You run the most illegal play in sports history.
Oh boy.
It's so illegal that it is too illegal to even be officiated, right? Like it is broken the officials' brains. That's how illegal it is. And this,
you know what makes me
on it, and it was a turnover, and they didn't even call that. They still it is so illegal that you are allowed to fumble on the tush push, and you still get the ball and score a touchdown on the next play. Congratulations, the Eagles have cracked the code. They made the most illegal play in the world, and now they get to run it all the time. Okay, well, Heath.
First off, I think we should maybe mention Jalen Hurts passing touchdowns and rushing touchdowns today. After that rant in regards to this game, but I just hate the whole offense. Like, I know I'm old and I grew up when it wasn't legal, but every time we get one of the with a running back, like not just Jalen Hurts, we get one of these big dog piles, and if the offense can keep it moving 1 inch at a time, the play goes on forever. And if the defense moves them backwards 1 inch, the play is over and they get the ball back where they had it. And it's the stupidest rule we have right now. You should not be able to push an offensive player forwards under any circumstances, tush push or running back or anybody.
Yeah.
Heath, you'll appreciate this as a Jalen Hurts defender.
Yes.
Hard Rock Bet tweeted this morning or posted this morning. Jalen Hurts, first 73 starts. Jalen Hurts in those 73 starts, 16,000 passing yards roughly, 155 touchdowns, 39 interceptions, 51-22 record. Lamar Jackson, first 73 starts, 14,740 passing yards, 141 touchdowns, 43 interceptions, 54-19 record.
What was Hurts' record?
51-22. They're 3 games apart.
He's great, and the Eagles are great. I mean, they're great, but don't at me, Eagles fans. All right, we'll be right back on FFT.
What's he like? The happy-faced killer?
You mean my dad? Be glad you never have to know.
You think that you're so much better than me. You're just like your old man.
I am not like you at all.
In the interest of not losing an entire city of listeners, I just want to sincerely apologize for what I said about the tush push. It has been a play that I have said should not be banned. Now I'm kind of changing my mind, but
Adam, you were right.
Are you serious?
I didn't think it should be banned. They're great at it. Good for them. It is very hard to officiate. And I'm sorry to Philadelphia. It's a beautiful city. I visited there several times and I love it. Love cheesesteaks. Of course, I don't get the cheese whiz on it, but I just love everything about it. Rocky is arguably the best sports movie ever. Creed is not, but Rocky's great. And that's it. I'm very sorry, Philadelphia. Let's just put this behind us. Okay. Buffalo 40, Carolina 9.
Oh, you should read at least the first line under almost touchdowns in the notes.
Oh, no, I think we're looking for healing here, Heath. I don't think I need to read that. You can read it if you want.
I'm just reading the notes. I'm Ron Burgundy. Darius Slayton had a long TD called back on a total garbage.
Just on total garbage. Yeah, I was so mad when I wrote it, and on total garbage. There were actually a lot of almost touchdowns. DJ Moore had his best game, and he should have had an even better game. I don't know how that was an incomplete pass at the end. He was wide open in the end zone. Caleb Williams missed him. Tajay Spears nearly scored on a 42-yard run. Alec Eilmanor could have had a long touchdown. Cam Ward overthrew him. Jake Ferguson came up a yard short of a touchdown. That was his only catch of the game. Javonte Williams scored 2 plays later. Evan Ingram came up a yard short of a touchdown. RJ Harvey scored a few plays later. We mentioned the Cade Otton one that led to a Sean Tucker touchdown. Cortland Sutton had a touchdown appropriately called back on an obvious pass interference. And then on the next play, he dropped a touchdown. It was kind of broken up, I think. And Rashid Shaheed
hit him right in the chest.
Did it? Okay.
Yeah.
Rashid Shaheed was open for what would have been a long touchdown, but Tyler Shuck missed him. Okay, here we go.
Oh, you got Tonga stealing George Kittle's second touchdown.
That was meant for Kittle, wasn't it?
Of course it was.
Yeah, because he threw that ball way too hard for Tongas. All right, let's talk about Buffalo 40 and Carolina 9. One of the best games of the week because they were all terrible except the Jets game.
I'll give you a doubleheader. Believe it or not, Keon Coleman is droppable.
Believe it.
You shouldn't care at all about Dalton Kincaid's bad game.
I believe both.
Yeah, we've been saying on the Tuesday show to drop Keon Coleman for a few weeks now, so it's hard to justify rostering him.
Still 73% rostered.
Yeah. He should be 7.3% rostered. Not that I'm bitter.
So don't care about Kincaid's bad game?
Yeah,
right.
Just brush it off. Start him next week.
Sure.
I mean, I believe it because I pretty much have a rule.
He does face the Chiefs.
Oh, well, my rule is when a quarterback throws 19 times, I more or less don't care about bad performances. You know, that's what happens.
Josh Allen might throw double that next week.
Yeah, I hope so. And honestly, Keon Coleman might have a good game next week. It could be his last one, but you know that, right? Does that give you any pause to drop him?
None. Nothing.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Good game for Tedero McMillan. 7 for 99 on 10 targets. Do we make anything of that?
Not any good, right, Adam?
Hey, don't twist my words. It's not that he's not good. It's
what
that
did he say?
I think he said he's not been good.
Yeah, it's true for fantasy. I mean, this is a fantasy show. It's true.
He's on.
Enough with this. He hasn't been a top 30 wide receiver. It's a fact. I'm not making this up. This isn't my opinion.
Two shoulder shrugs in the same show. This is awesome.
Oh,
He's
you
top
missed
10 as
me.
of now for this week.
For this
He was
week, good.
top 13 2 weeks ago.
And what is he for the season, Dave Richards? Is he top 30 now?
12.5.
Oh.
And
All
he's
right,
had 2 good games in his last 3. I would argue that he's a rookie on the rise.
I'm not arguing against that. I'm just saying what he has been. It's a fact. It's not a. This is not a debate. This is just a number. This is a stat. Baltimore 30, Chicago 16.
This, believe it or not, Caleb Williams is a must-start quarterback next week.
Believe it.
Believe it.
At the Bengals.
Yeah. That's why I couldn't
there's
make
not-
him a loser.
Right. I mean, he was bad today, but I don't know what else there is to take away from this. We get Lamar back next week. Zay Flowers scrambled through a good game with Tyler Huntley. DeAndre Swift is awesome.
Well, again,
Roman
DeAndre
is
Swift
awesome.
is. I guess I'd make the same argument against DeAndre Swift that I would against Chase Brown, right? Because Monangai had 7 carries, Swift had 11. Monangai did work a little bit near the goal line. I think Swift worked more there. So is that a big deal? Is that something that we should maybe look to sell DeAndre Swift or just keep him?
It depends on what your record is. I think if you've got, if you're up to 6-2, then you could really be strongly considering selling DeAndre Swift. And if you need to win the next 2 weeks, he plays the Bengals and the Giants.
I think if in this scenario, like this is the type of player you try and sell for a Bucky Irving, a Omarion Hampton, a player that you think has huge potential toward the end of the season, but you probably need to get something back in return with that player for Swift at this point.
Sure. I don't like that he's close to a 50-50 split with Monangai. And as for Monangai having more snaps inside the 5, that was over the course of the game, but 4 came on the final drive of the game.
I figured out the Romo Dunze typo. Those were Romeo Dobbs's numbers.
Close.
There's a Rome in there.
Almost the same thing.
What else do we got from this game? Baltimore, Derrick Henry, that was a terrific performance. I mean, it's not much to take away because Lamar Jackson hopefully back next week. Keep or drop Mark Andrews.
He's droppable.
So you have Cade Otton on a bye this week. You have the Browns guys on a bye this week.
He plays the Dolphins with Lamar back.
Yeah, like he'll be in the low end starting conversation.
Yeah. That's where he was this week, though.
I mean, you're obviously going to ride
That's where he's going to be.
Oronde Gadsden's hot hand. You're going to stick with Mason Taylor's on a bye as well. You have, I'm trying to think who else like we picked up recently. I'm going to go right back to Zach Ertz no matter what he does tomorrow night.
Why?
Because they're playing Seattle.
Okay. Well, we've seen very little of Ertz with both of the receivers there. So we'll see.
But I
We'll
don't care. I mean, Seattle's so bad.
Yeah.
Against
Titans.
Against Titans.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're so good against everything else.
Philadelphia 38, Giants 20.
Another game where with the Eagles going on a bye and not playing with A.J. Brown, it's hard to take too much out of it. We talked about Wan'Dale. We talked about Tracy. Jaxson Dart's a top 12 quarterback rest of the season.
I believe it.
I don't believe it.
Heath, break the tie.
I don't really believe it either. It was really nice that he got you to 20 points in this game, but I didn't think he looked particularly comfortable.
Right. But
are you then discounting the other starts that he made leading up to this game?
No, but
So just all of a sudden he looked uncomfortable. And what we already know was one of his absolute toughest matchups that he would have. And as of now, he is a top 12 quarterback. He won't be because Mahomes hasn't played yet, but I still think he can be a low-end starting fantasy quarterback. I agree with you.
I would put him in the group just outside that, so the like Flacco versus Jaxson Dart rest of the way, I probably had Flacco. It's just hard to look at the weapons that he has right now and feel comfortable when he's throwing for less than 200 yards. I know the rushing has been good. It just feels like he's such an injury risk the way that they use him and the way that he runs. And so I don't know if he's going to be somebody that his start percentage, unless the matchup is overwhelmingly in his favor, is going to be north of 60% consistently.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you have, like, I know I picked him up in one league where I lost. I'm sorry, I was starting Kyler. It's the FFT Open. Kyler was my quarterback, and I have the two guys I have on my roster right now are Jaxson Dart and Aaron Rodgers. Like that's and Murray's still out there, so I may pivot back to him. But like that's the type of, I think, fantasy manager we're talking about here. Somebody that lost Burrow and been trying to manage through it. Poor quarterback situation. Like I don't know. It just feels like he's not in that must start group, and I think top 12 at that position is must start.
Buy or sell. Believe it or not, Philadelphia has the richest history and is one of the most underrated cities in America. I guess I believe that. And the other thing I'd ask is buy, sell, hold Saquon Barkley. Before this game, he looked like one of the biggest busts in fantasy. Now he has this huge game against a terrible run defense.
Do we know his health?
Exactly.
Like
so hard to sell with a red cross next to his name and a bye week next to his name. Like it's really,
but if you are again, so rest of season, who would you rather have, DeAndre Swift or Saquon Barkley?
Barkley.
Yes.
So if the Barkley manager is going into their bye week, hovering around 500, that's a trade you might be able to pull off.
Straight
like
up,
Swift
no
and
way.
Something for Barkley.
Right. Yes. But it's got to be a pretty good something.
Yeah, but Barkley said that he was fine, that they just pulled him, that they kept him out of the game because of the score.
Mm-hmm.
So not the first time.
The line's going to get healthy. He showed out in this game against the Giants. I'm feeling pretty good about Saquon. Not top 5 good, but still pretty good.
Miami 34, Atlanta 10.
The Dolphins are back.
Do not believe it.
I don't believe you.
I guess it's really just Tua because Achane and Waddle are both must start.
Yeah, that's right.
It's not a bad schedule at all.
I'd rather have
Dark. Games is going to have to throw. I mean, Baltimore, Buffalo, Washington, all at home. Is that right? Next 3 games. Dave, check that for me there. 3 straight home games. I don't even know if that matters.
I think he's going to have to throw in all 3 of those.
3 straight at home, then a bye, and then another one. Oh, one of the games is in Spain. The Washington game is in Spain. It's technically a Dolphins home game. But still, after that game, after their bye, they're home against New Orleans.
Then at the Jets.
I don't know, man. Everything about this game was completely backwards.
It really was.
Except for Tyler Algier. And
I'm not sure I'm rushing to start Tua. On the Atlanta side, this was Bijan Robinson's worst game since
the migraine.
The Tampa game.
I knew you were going to say that, but you're wrong. I looked it up. I had to look. I didn't know. He had a game that year as a rookie, week 16, I think, a playoff game where he scored something like 2 fantasy points against the Panthers. But I thought it was the migraine game, too. I had forgotten about that one. All right. That's
someone
it for
can
that.
figure out this Falcons defense. Let me know. Let me know what I'm missing, because one week they look outstanding. The next week they look terrible. They were terrible.
This is the first time they look terrible, though.
No, they've been up and down all year long.
The Panthers game was
the Panthers was the offense looked terrible.
Yeah,
right, the offense, and that put the defense in bad position. And maybe that's what happened today too, because Cousins was so off.
I would imagine they're going to look terrible next week too.
They are facing. Jamie loves to do that, where he says, "Like I don't know the matchups. I have to look it up at New England next week."
Yeah, Drake May.
All right,
awesome.
Houston. Yeah, Drake. I was thinking. I'll talk about it when we get to the New England game, which is coming up. Houston 26, San Francisco 15.
I think we got a 3-man MVP race right now.
Okay, so yes, I agree. It's Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, and AJ Brown.
You can't keep kissing Philadelphia's ass. It's, in my opinion, right now, it's Drake May, Jonathan Taylor, and Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think Jonathan Taylor. It should be the Colts offensive line. They should be the MVP. I'm giving the Colts offensive line.
Did you see that run?
Yeah, it was awesome.
That 80-yard run was pretty incredible.
All right, Houston 26, San Francisco 15.
Believe it or not, we shouldn't have left Jaylen Noel off the early waiver wire segment.
He belongs on it, but I don't know if he's a priority.
Again, he played like less than 50% of the snaps, I think, Jaylen Noel. So there is that.
Believe it or not, Woody marks the top 24 running back rest of season.
I wish the Texans believed that. Holy cow, play the kid.
Seriously. This is another backfield where there's one player who's clearly better than the other. And the coaching staff's like, nope, we're going to go with the slower guy for reasons that no one knows except the coaching staff. Maybe they trust their experience a little bit more.
Well, there was that report.
I get it in this case. I still don't get that argument in the Carolina case.
There was a report from Jeremy Fowler a few weeks ago that the Texans coaching staff considers his injury history. They don't want to overwork him, basically. So maybe that's
but
it.
Nick Chubb's injury history. Let's overwork him.
Well, no, I don't think they're overworking either of them, though.
Well, they're using 4 running backs every week, so they're not overworking anybody. British Brooks is getting playing time.
Can you imagine if you had Christian McCaffrey and Bijan Robinson in a DFS lineup this week? Wow.
Yeah, you lost all your money.
Okay, New England 32, Cleveland 13.
I lost the matchup where Samaje P right now scored Christian McCaffrey.
Mike,
go ahead.
Mike is dismayed that I don't have my shirt yet, but I will get it next week and wear it on the show. Drake May is one of the top 5 or 6 quarterbacks in the NFL. Believe it or not, Harold Fannon's a must-start tight end, even with David Njoku there.
I don't believe it. What's happening?
Sorry, I don't believe that. I was laughing at it.
I think with Dylan Gabriel, both tight ends might be must-start fantasy options.
I think with Dylan Gabriel, both are maybe start tight end options, and not necessarily
the only guys that he can throw to at this point.
It's true, and it worked out its way in this game, very much so. But I don't know if it means that either one is someone we can confidently start from week to week.
Believe it or not, you need to hold Harold Fannin through the bye.
Believe it.
Oh yeah, that's a little different.
If Quinshon Judkins were out, how excited would you be about Sampson or Ford?
Flex options at best.
They do have. Who do they have coming out of the bye?
Coming out of the
bye. The Jets?
The Jets, the Ravens, the Raiders, the 49ers, the Titans. I'll just stop there because that's a lot of good matchups.
Okay. On the other side of the ball, Travion Henderson. Oh, man. He had such a good game, and then he fumbled.
Mike Vrabel doesn't care about fumbles.
At the goal line.
And a lot, yeah. Stevenson had 14 carries. Stevenson had a bad game, which was a little predictable. Travion Henderson ended up being a bad game for fantasy, but 10 carries for 75 yards, had some big plays. We'll just continue to monitor that. And I was, Jamie, I was a little disappointed. Only 5 targets for Stephon Diggs. Also, I was a little disappointed that you acquired Stephon Diggs in the Superflex League for Kirk Cousins. If I had known, I would have offered my useless players for Stephon Diggs. But anyway, it is what it is. But yeah, no, I want to just fully buy into Diggs, and I'm glad he caught the touchdown. But I don't know where you at on him.
I think he's a number 3 receiver rest of season. I said this a couple weeks ago. Like, it feels as if this offense is going to just kind of find whatever works in that particular game and take advantage of it. And there's not going to be an alpha. There's not going to be a go-to guy consistently. So we may get a 2 or 3 week stretch like we've had with Diggs already this season. We had it with Hunter Henry earlier in the season. Kayshon Boutte's kind of been in that range because of the touchdowns the last 3 games. So it's a credit to Drake May. It's a credit to this coaching staff, how he's performing and how they're just finding ways to utilize mismatches and get these guys going on a week-to-week basis. So this was a tough matchup. I think you look at next week, it still could be a tough matchup for Atlanta, if they play like they're capable of playing. But with what May did against Cleveland today, I think he said it best. Like, he's just, at this point for me, a set it and forget it quarterback.
All right. That's next up. Man, and what I was going to say was that May was struggling a little bit in this game as he kept getting sacked. And I thought, look, he's had a pretty easy schedule. And the one difficult matchup Drake May had, he had a bad game, and it was Buffalo. I was like, maybe, we're missing something here, but no, he's incredible.
In the Buffalo game, he played really well. He just didn't get fantasy points.
That's true. All right. Jets 39, Bengals 38. What'd you say?
Tight end date continues.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Tucker Kraft in the end zone. Okay, yeah, Jets with this big comeback win. And Heath, what do we got?
Believe it or not, Jamar Chase should be the number 1 pick if you were redrafting for rest of the season.
Believe it.
Once again.
I don't believe it. Not even in full PPR. The way that Jonathan Taylor's been running. He's up
Chase
there.
Going Bijan.
Bijan's up there.
You going Bijan over Taylor and Chase?
Yeah, I think the thing with Chase is like he just doesn't get enough targets. 20 a game? It's just not. I think I'm going Bijan just over Taylor because he'll have a lot more catches, and then over Chase.
Oh, I don't know what
he will.
If we're drafting for the rest of the season, right? Week 1 for this fantasy league is next week. And you have the number 1 pick. You're taking Bijan over Taylor and Chase. I love Bijan. I don't think I'm doing that.
So. I think so. Yeah, I think he's more reliable in the passing game, and he's coming off a bad game. Obviously,
the guy that scores 3 touchdowns every week.
I know, but he's not. He's on a 30 touchdown pace. I can't see this continuing. It's kind of insane. This is the best case. This is Priest Holmes. We have not had something like this.
I just don't get 2,000 yards, Taylor, please.
Or 400 carries.
Well,
what do you make?
He won't play week 18, so it'll be okay. They're gonna have the one seed wrapped up.
Yeah.
What do you make of T. Higgins? 1 long catch. What did he have? 2 targets in this game. 1 catch, 44 yards on 2 targets.
I think it stinks. I would expected more. Feel lucky that he had the 1 catch. All things considered.
You have a game-winning drive, potential game-winning drive.
Got to throw to Yoshibas.
2 passes to Yoshibas.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Tampa Bay 20 and New Orleans 3.
Oh, the Saints are such a mess.
Believe it.
Olave's still good.
That was excellent.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, you don't need to hold Tez Johnson to the bye.
Oh, sure. You could drop him.
Would you drop him for DK?
If I was desperate for a receiver, sure. And
Dude,
DK was the best receiver on the waiver wire.
He just led them in receiving.
Yeah.
Tez Johnson.
Yeah.
43 yards.
Right. Yeah. It stunk, but he was very good the 2 games before. I don't necessarily want to cut Tez Johnson. I think he can be very good. This is a floor game for him. If he's my worst player on my bench and I need somebody on a week where 4 teams are on bye and 1 out of every 3 wide receivers is hurt, then I got to do what I got to do.
If you see Tez Johnson and Chris Godwin on waivers going into the bye week,
Tez.
Yeah, I'll take Godwin.
I think I'd take Godwin too.
Anything else from this game? What do you guys think about Chimere? Horrible game for him, but he's usually better than this. But in a game where how many passes did they throw in this game? They threw 51 passes. And I think he had 2 targets. He had only 2 catches. Yeah, he had
half the snaps.
Maybe they benched him at
half the snaps.
He got banged up in the game, so that was part of it. I saw one of the New Orleans beat writers suggest that they were playing Devin Neal on passing downs because they like him in pass protection. Not that they don't like Chimere in pass protection, but I think trying to see what they have. They're entering now, looking ahead clearly,
right,
if they're going to start Shuck. So, I mean, you gotta hope and pray at this point with Chimere that he's going to somehow find the end zone and maybe get more involved in the passing game. Like, I think flex at best. If somebody's willing to trade for him, you do so in a second.
Woody Marks or Alvin Kamara rest of season?
Woody Marks.
Yeah, I think you've got to make it Woody Marks. He has 12.4 PPR points in his last 2 games combined. And overall for this game, he played 52% of the snaps, but it's a little tilted because Neal dominated 4th quarter snaps.
Who has more fantasy points per game? Alvin Kamara or Tony Pollard?
Swift? Oh, I thought you were going to say Swift.
Who? Tony Pollard? Chimere.
I know.
Chimere versus Pollard? Chimere.
I'll say Chimere.
It's Chimere by less than 1/10 of a point.
Jonah in the chat asked if New Orleans would trade Chimere. They think, I'm sure they would like to, but they're not going to.
Okay. And someone said, when should we pick up McMillan? They're talking about Jalen McMillan, and that's another guy that complicates things a little bit because he could be back fairly soon. Okay.
If you've got an IR spot, you should do it last week. You could do it 3 weeks ago, but you can still do it this week if he's on your waiver wire.
Where does
All right, let's do our last
go
one.
if he gets traded?
I couldn't hear you, Jamie. Can you say that again, please?
Where does Shaheed go that his value gets better? Like if he goes to
almost
Pittsburgh, does his value get better?
Man, Pittsburgh, I don't know.
Pittsburgh, Buffalo, maybe even the Giants. I think it could be almost anywhere.
It'd be very surprising if the Giants are trading a draft pick for a receiver at this point.
Yeah, it's true. Unless they think that he's like a piece for the future.
Right.
But I don't think that's what you view Shaheed to be.
All right, last game. By the way, are you guys using a computer right now? Because you should know, if you are, that Philadelphia had the first electronic computer in 1946. So,
what's your favorite type of cream cheese?
The one I get at the Bagel Emporium. Denver 44, Dallas 24. What do we got
in New York State?
Despite the fact that he scored 75 fantasy points in his last 2 games and was a great start of the week, you should sit Bo Nix against the Texans next week.
Believe it.
I believe it too.
Okay. Should you just sell high on Bo Nix or take a 1 week lump?
He plays the Raiders the week after that.
So again, I'll just keep updating the stat. Now it's 12 home games in his last 12 home games going back to last year. He was averaging over 28 points per game going into this. He scored 31. So I don't know the math on that, but that's better. I'm going to play him every time he's at home. He's the new Jared Goff.
Las Vegas, Kansas City is at home when the Chiefs are coming off of a bye. That's in week 11. And then Green Bay in week 15, Jacksonville at home in week 16, Chargers at home week 18 when no one's playing fantasy football. These are some good matchups. I like the way he's playing, still making some mistakes, but I think the home road stuff is legit. I usually don't think that with this kind of stuff, but I think it is true with him. And he's beat up on some bad non-conference defenses over the last over the last 5 quarters. If you can sell out one, you should.
What is your message to the Jake Ferguson manager? 1 target today.
I think we gave that message on Wednesday or Tuesday. Yeah, it was Wednesday.
Sell high. We've been saying
that. I must have been wrong about something. I said he had an almost touchdown, but was it a different tight end?
It was Schoonmaker.
Oh, okay. Yep. I'm sorry about that. So he didn't even have a catch. Man, he went no catches on one target for Jake Ferguson. I thought he had one catch.
I'm going to start him again next week against Arizona.
Yeah. Pickens,
he's got the Raiders after their bye.
The original plan was for Pickens to be covered by Surtain mostly, and that's kind of what happened in the first half. Surtain left at halftime. They were kind of double teaming CeeDee Lamb, but Pickens ends up with a good game, 7 catches for 78 yards on 9 targets. All right, I said that was our last game, but I lied. I forgot about the game of the week. Indianapolis 38, Tennessee 14.
Believe it or not, Tyjae Spears will be better than Tony Pollard rest of the season.
Believe it.
You know who needs to get traded is Tony Pollard.
Spears had 9 carries, including a late touchdown. He had 3 carries and 2 catches on Tennessee's last possession of the game. So up until that point, it was 11 carries for Pollard and 6 for Tyjae Spears. So I'm not quite sure I believe this. I don't believe it as easily.
There's ever going to be a game script left where we're going to be encouraged to start Tony Pollard under any circumstances. He's been splitting 50-50 or worse with Spears the last 2 games. That continued again this week. He's got a tradable contract. He could absolutely be on the move if somebody called Tennessee.
Okay. That's, for the record, not what I said. I didn't say that we're going to feel comfortable starting Pollard. I'm just not so sure that Spears is going to be better than Pollard. I think we're going to go into every week not wanting to start either of them, right?
Correct. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's probably the main takeaway here. But yeah, no, I mean, look, they play from behind all the time. And also this, for whatever reason, Pollard just hasn't been that good this year. This is another one of those backfields where it's like one guy's making plays and the other isn't. I wonder if they start seeing it that way with Spears. I don't know.
I think they already have.
I don't know that they're ever going to let him have a big workload, though. That's the thing. It's kind of undersized.
It's true. But he's been better than Pollard 2 out of the last 3 weeks in PPR. And the only reason why Pollard was better than him in week 7 was because Pollard had 6 catches, which is not typically what Pollard does.
Right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this game and this episode of Fantasy Football Today.
Go Eagles.
I was going to say no, but it's funny that America's first zoo was actually in Philadelphia. So thank you for that. And first hospital. Just unbelievable contributions.
When was the last time you were in Philly?
Last year, or maybe 2 years ago, for Miami versus Temple at the Link, which I would have to say is one of the top 1 stadiums I've ever been to.
You know what you should do? You should go to Philly. You should go like right by the Liberty Bell. You should make a sign that says, "I love all things Philadelphia."
Yeah.
And just walk around carrying the sign for like 5 hours.
Didn't we have a blast in Philadelphia? We did our live show there.
Yep. I remember it.
Yep.
Yeah, I believe you were booed.
We did it at a beer hall. It was a ton of fun.
It was awesome. I'd love to do that again, but only in Philadelphia. All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching and listening. Have a wonderful day and wonderful evening or whatever. And we're going to talk to you on Beyond the Box Score. Hey, no Jacob on Beyond the Box Score. If any of you want to volunteer to fill in, let me know. Have a great day, everybody. Talk to you tomorrow on Fantasy Football Today.